Hello all, I'm Sequence Snowy Pants, and today I'm going to be telling a complex story, so sit back, listen, and relax. This is a story about Pokemon cards, which sounds like a story to be complex about, but you'll just have to listen to see. So, when I was in the second grade, I went to school's basically just beginning, and I went to McDonald's, and I go there and I get a Happy Meal. So they're doing like a Pokemon promotion at the time, and I get this Pokemon card along with a Lugia toy, which I think it's over there somewhere, but I'd have to go get it. But anyway, I'm like, okay, cool. And everyone knew what Pikachu was, but no one really knew what Pokemon was. We all just, you've seen it before you really got into it. And this was my first really appearance of Pokemon in my life, and little did I know is that this would soon become my fair game franchise. So the next day I go to school, and I just have this in my backpack, and basically I go to school, and there's like a lot of people with Pokemon cards, like a lot, and I'm like, I'll see what I can do. It's an attack game, but let's see how I do with this. And before I do anything, this kid approaches me and it's like, you got Pokemon cards? And I'm like, yeah. So, and he's like, oh, cool. How many you got? And I'm like, oh, just this one. So, without even like a trade or anything, he just gives me like, I want to say about like 10 cards, but they're not even like bad cards. They're like 140 HP stuff with like relatively good attacks. And one of the cards he gave me was this Kling, which little did I know is this would be kind of an important part of the story, and I'll get into it further, but a lot of stuff. But basically, he gave me like 10 really good cards. Some of them were duplicates, but they're all pretty good. And so it was at this point that it was just casual battling and trading, and no one knew how to battle with cards, so you just like do the attack. No one understood how to do the abilities and stuff. You just do the attacks, and we didn't use energies because we were like, okay, this is really complex. So basically, what we did is it was just that. But as time went on, kids would start basically be trading cards with each other. And so, they would trade a card like this, and then, they'd be promised a card like, something like this, but then the trading wouldn't go through, and either, like, he would end up getting an unfair trade, or just nothing at all. So, essentially, that was happening. And it was at this point, on the next day on the PA system, that after a while of this happening, they, announced, if you are caught with Pokemon cards on school grounds, it's going to have to be confiscated. Sorry, but it's just going to have to happen because of some issues that are happening. And at this point, it was just kind of like this. Our teacher would let us, use the cards when we'd have, free time or whatever you like to call it. And so, that was all good now. We would still use it, but, just no trading. But we still traded. It wouldn't even be really sneaky stuff. It would just look like if she was looking in our direction, we wouldn't. But we would make it look like we're battling. It's like, you lost, but here, take this, and then we do a quick switch around, and we do trading. Eventually, people were doing trading, but they're also back to doing the unfair trades, which again on the PA system they announced it won't just be confiscated, but you'll also have to serve a few minutes after school if you're caught. And this is where the story becomes really, really complex. It essentially became this. There was a silent agreement on this, alright? We never said it, but we all agreed upon it, alright? And here's how it went. It was almost like there was a top rank, there was a second rank, there was a third rank, and then there was a fourth rank, which coincidentally was me. I don't know how, but me being the fourth rank somehow let me oversee everything. And that's why I'm telling this story because if I was like top rank, I would have kind of a boring story because I saw almost everything he did in this context, and basically, this is the more I think about it, it's like, man, this all happened 1.5 years while I was in school, and anyway, so it basically started to go like this. People were assigned jobs. Like, top leader would just overview everything basically, and then second leader would I can't remember what everyone did, but basically, I was in charge of battle management, which sounds awkward, but that's the best I can put it. I would overlook basically what's happening in like people gathering tournaments, people gathering what the new battle strategies are, stuff like that. So like I was almost collecting data for me and the higher ups to like, okay, this is how we can start winning. But it wasn't like unfair. It was just examination that anyone could do. I was just ranked higher for it, which sounds selfish, but really, if you look at it carefully, it really wasn't. And basically, the kid I mentioned in the beginning, since I was overviewing everything, watching most battles, I noticed he was just inside for a lot of them, not even battling a lot. And then I noticed it a few times. He would steal people's cards while they were looking. As I said in the very beginning, a lot of people kept their cards in this, and these are like, you open it, it makes a noise. You put it back on, makes noise. You grab it, it makes a lot of noise. But this person mastered the art of not having to do anything. That's weird, but it managed the art of not even making a sound when doing it. And so, like, he stole a bunch of cards since a lot of people had those and just left their cards in there. And so, basically, what happened is I showed this to the higher-ups, and including, like, 6th and 5th place. And, we never agreed on who was who except for top rank. But, like, we all knew, like, each other's rank in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but basically, I did that, and we came up with a plan. And basically what the plan was this. At the time, my 3 most valued cards, which was this Dragonite, this Ash Greninja, and this Kangaskhan. Basically, I was taking the whole risk here, since these were my 3 cards, alright? And, like, it was none of the other guys, and here's what the plan was. It's very complicated, but here's how it went. I would give these to the kid, alright? The guy who supplied me in the beginning. The guy who's on my side, but then realized the reason that he had so many cards, and, like, all of this, like, all the cards that he gave me were pretty much stolen. I'm pretty sure. Like, almost all of them. And basically, what happened is we all realized this. So what the deal was this. For nothing else, I would give him all 3 of these cards, and what would happen is I would give him these, and he'd be like, cool. And while he would be about to either start going to battle with someone or just trade, we would quickly take these out of the deck. Alright, and then we had no plan for that. I don't even honestly know what we were thinking, but the outcome was way better than I thought. Essentially, what happened is we took all 3 of them out of his deck. And, a lot of people, as I said in the very beginning, they keep their cards and stuff like this and stuff like this. And basically, what happened is he took one of these. He tried taking an entire deck while someone was in a battle. It was, behind them. But, this guy basically mastered the art of stealing silently, as I said. But basically what happened is he, like, freaked out that he couldn't find where they were. And instead of being like, hey, did you take him back or anything? He right away resorted to stealing someone's this and this. And, like, he was the loudest I've ever seen someone try to steal something. Like, he was, like, trying to run away. But, like, he caught everyone's attention. For one thing, he was running. For another thing, he had all this. And for another thing, he who mastered the art of the stuff that only the higher-ups noticed, he was the worst at it ever. And, the teacher's out of the room, and we all almost, like... This is where it basically becomes a mafia movie from now on. I don't know if I mentioned this. I think I meant to, but... Before I even heard of The Godfather, or knew what it was, when we were talking about that deal that I made, I honestly said, I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse, like they say in The Godfather. I never even heard of the movie, or that line, and I was... Looking back, I was like, that was weird. And so anyway, we all basically like strap him from his roll. He was like 7th place. But like we strap him from his roll and he's almost like if you noticed, he almost never like battled or anything again. He just kind of did something else during class, during like the free times. But basically then after that he was just out of the whole game. We all made, well, we actually talked about it, but it was a silent agreement that we actually like talked about. So this is where it really gets interesting. The school heard about the kind of like we maybe not this, but we could kind of tell that they in a way did. But kids were back to the unfair trades again. And so what happened then is they made another announcement on the PA system that, the same, they're not allowed on school campus, not allowed, blah, blah. And it was at this point that it kind of became to the point that the teacher was like, all right, no Pokemon cards allowed in class. We had our roll with it, but it's just causing an issue. So that was big news for us. And at this point, it really became like in movies when you'd see people like exchanging goods, like in alleyways and stuff. Like people would on the playground during recess, they would be like walking and be like, hey, and then they would quickly like hold out their like two people would hold out their cards and just like do a quick exchange. And every once in a while people drop it, but I'm noticing almost all these happen. Even I did a few of those and got some pretty good cards, and it was at this point that it was kind of dying off in a way. There's still a lot of the higher ups, but third highest left, sixth highest left. A lot of things just happened until the Pokemon Sun and Moon cards came out, and this is where it gets dark. At this point, one of my birthdays happened, and basically, we got cool cards. I got one of my most highly praised cards of mine, which is this. It's an Executor card that all my friends just kind of found funny, and it's one of my most valuable cards in my opinion. And basically, it almost started up again. There were new leaders, and it just didn't feel fresh anymore. It just almost seemed like it didn't have the same power it did. Until this guy basically one day was smuggling cards. Like he would go to Walmart, I assume, and buy like, I don't know, several decks, because one day we were all heading in class, and this kid, it was elementary school, so you just have the one like homeroom class or whatever you want to call it. And this kid, he's walking, and his backpack is slightly unzipped, all right? And he trips, all right? And oh my gosh, like all out, like he trips down, and out of his backpack falls several cards and like several unopened decks. Like I want to say like, I don't even know, a bunch, all right? And everyone's like grabbing cards and then running away. But this kid, he had the like I can't think of anyone who actually had to like stay after school for like detention or whatever you want to call it. But basically, this is the only kid I know who did. He tripped over and like we all grabbed cards. Even I got some good stuff from it, all right? And at this point, after the Sun and Moon cards came out, this is kind of where most people were quitting. And over the birthdays, you'd get a bunch of cards because that's what you wanted and everything. But it got to the point where everyone left except for one person. Me. There were still people, but not the higher ups. Almost all of them just silently dropped out. It's like in Breaking Bad when Gustavo Fring executes the entire cartel, and all that's left is him being the highest kingpin drug lord in the world, basically. And it was almost like that. I watched everything happen. I had a higher power, almost. I don't even know. It wasn't greed or selfishness. It was just a higher power. And, like, this is the period that, like, people some people gave me cards because it was like I was the messiah or something to them, because like I was like the last of the savior, and that's where I got this I don't know what is it, holographic? I can never remember. This Tyranitar card. And basically, from that point on, I don't even know what to say, but it just got so much more complicated. And at that point, some of the higher-ups would occasionally check in, but other than that, it really got to this. It almost never happened on school grounds anymore. You'd go to hang out with one of your friends or someone you barely even know for like an hour or so. You'll play some games, but the real reason you went over there is to trade a card. And it was just a brutal age of, I don't even know what to call it. It wasn't depression, but it also wasn't joy. It wasn't anything. This is the period that I got my Umbreon card and my Dark card, but like, it was such a weird time. And then, after the Sun and Moon phase dropped out, this is kind of where we all kind of, like almost all my people I know, just kind of stopped collecting, including I. And it was just, I don't even know what to say. There's a lot more I didn't say, but it was just a really weird time. I feel like I should have learned some type of lesson from it, but I've still yet to learn the entire thing. I didn't mean for this to get deep, but it's a story of greed. It's a story of selflessness. And it's a story of rise and fall. About I don't even know what to say if you guys are still watching, but it's a story of me and people collecting over one thing until all dies out. It wasn't even a fad, I wouldn't say. It was just a lifestyle. I don't know if I talked about this, but there are more people who like did minor crimes like cheat by looking at what else he had in the deck. But they almost also got not like the kid who was stealing cards. It was almost like that. Like they were discontinued from the groups. And it's a story that I've yet to learn the theme from, that I've yet to learn my lesson from, and I'm looking at the memories I have hung around my desk from unrelated moments, but it all feels like it connects in a way. I don't even know how to describe it. But let's finish this up on a lighter note. So, there's a lot of the story I didn't tell, and it would probably be a much longer video if I did tell it, but I'd like to end this video with just recapping my memory of the cards that basically are my 10 most cherished. At number 10, we have this Executor card, which I got at a birthday party from a packet, and all my friends just kind of thought it was funny. So that's gonna go into this pile. It'll probably stay there for a while. Then we have this Lycanroc GX, which I bought from those big booster boxes at Target, and I just really like it. So yeah. And then we have a card that I was really hyped to get, which is the Zygarde Max Form card. That's really cool. Then I remember at one of my birthday parties when I pulled this, all of my friends and I just freaked out. Like everyone wanted to touch it. It was my party, and we're like, oh my gosh, we can't believe we just pulled it. And I still remember the feeling of all that hype. And then we have this Dragonite card, which I got from Walmart, and I just really love this card. It's great. It has a great design, and it's really cool. Then I remember there was a group of people with Ash Greninjas. It's Greninja is one of my friend's favorite Pokemon, And basically, I remember there was a group who only used different styles of Greninja, Froakie, and Frogadier. And it was just really weird. And then when I finally got this, people were like, well, I was immediately admitted to like five people's like Pokemon card groups, which sounds weird, but it really was. It's quite weird. Then we have this Snorlax card, and Snorlax is my favorite Pokemon, and I got this for my birthday from one of my friends, and I remember we all were like, nice. It has some of the best, funniest, and kind of best moves, in my opinion. So, yeah. And then these final 3 cards, I don't know, but they almost played a role in my life. This is from my cousin, the Swampert card, like 2 years before he went to college. I mean, this was like 2 years ago. No, maybe 3 or so years ago that he gave me this, but like, I don't know, I just really like it. And then, as I said earlier with the guy who's stealing cards, most of the cards that he gave me were most likely stolen, so I kind of just, at the time, found out whose cards they were. Like, I'll be like, hey, was this anyone's or anything? Did you lose one of these? And some of the people were probably lying just to get an extra card, but I saw some people who actually like felt happy, like oh my gosh, I can't believe you found this. Like, but there's one, like there's a few more, but this was the first card he ever gave me, and coincidentally, it was one of the only cards I kept. So, I don't know. I feel like it's a big lesson, and the one card that changed the rest of the course of my life, the butterfly effect, if you will. This Rhyhorn card that changed my view. It made me notice my favorite game series of all time. It made this entire story exist. It did a lot. So now, those cards are now all preserved in here. And I wish you all a good night, and I hope for you all to appreciate what you have at your time. I hope you all appreciate what you have with your life and your privileges. Don't take things briefly. When you have the spotlight of attention, don't try to all focus it on you. Spend your time wisely. I want you all to have an amazing day. I will see you all later, and this is Sequin Snowy Pants, signing off.